If your business feels like it's getting harder to control, the problem may not be that your team is having problems. It may be that the business has become too complex for the way that you currently lead. A hands-on, informal, highly involved, in-the-weeds leadership style can work very well for a while, but at some point the business needs more structure, clearer roles, stronger managers, and decisions that don't all run through you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to recognize that stage and a simple exercise that I use all the time with owners to help them stop trying to juggle everything themselves. This doesn't apply just to owners as well. Executives, any busy leader can use this. If this is useful, please like this video and subscribe. I talk about leadership problems that show up when real companies grow, transition, or prepare for secession. By liking and subscribing, you help other people find great content like this. But whatever intuitively brought you to this point, if you now feel stuck and you're wondering, is my team holding me back? What I often tell clients that are growing their companies or moving to the next stage, whatever that means, is that whatever intuitively they did to help build this current success is probably no longer going to work to get them where they want to go next. What that means is that the next stage or the next steps are going to feel counterintuitive or uncomfortable to them. If you can embrace that and lean into the growth that that opportunity offers you, then you will be able to grow, you will be able to get to the next step and change. It just means that you have to think about things, about leadership a little bit differently than what you may have right now, what your first impulse has been right now. So I want to step into this idea of what happens when your business, and particularly your management team or your team, has outgrown your leadership style. The first thing that you should notice is not that things are failing. That's at the last point to notice. That's an awful lagging indicator. What you want to notice is just when things start to become complex, when you're starting to have to put in late nights, when you're working on Saturdays because things are starting to get out of hand, when you're not really doing your job, you're not leading the company, you're involved in helping other people get all of their jobs done or picking up the slack for other people. When things get complex like that, that's the sign that and it's overwhelming you, that your leadership style is probably hitting its limits. This doesn't mean you've hit your limits. It means that your current style of leadership has maxed itself out. So you need to begin to change. And I'm not going to get into leadership style philosophy or the different schools of thought around that. Instead, I'm just going to talk about the specific things that you need to do that will change your style enough that will help you be successful in moving to the next level. And these are tested. I've walked many, many companies through doubling, tripling, quadrupling their size within just a few years of time, and adopting the principles that I'm going to, or the techniques that I'm going to share with you today, really are key to that. They're not the only thing, but they're an important part. And if you don't get this, you're going to find yourself stuck. And so if you find yourself stuck, here's part of the answer. Now, the old style of what you did used to work. So it isn't like you were leading badly before. So I want to take that concept off the table. It's just that facing the current needs that you have, your approach to it needs to change. You probably got to where you're at because you're conscientious, you're really hardworking, you're driven, you're responsive, you're taking care of customers, you're taking care of your employees, whatever it is, you got here for good reasons, but we want to look at changing some of the ways that you respond to those reasons. It doesn't mean you stop responding to them. It means that you change the pathways through which that you do that. And you start to respond to those through your team as opposed to you doing it yourself. Now, I can tell you for a fact that when I meet leaders of companies that are stuck, oftentimes it's because the leader has gotten back into the weeds and sees themselves as the answer. It takes too long to explain it, I'll just do it myself. It takes too long to hire, I can't trust someone that'll come in, I'll just do it myself. Any of those kinds of answers is also an indicator that this company is not going to go anywhere. It's a company I wouldn't invest in. Even if that leader is the sweetest person in the world, greatest character, hardest worker, it's not going to grow because everything is based on that person's capacity. I have seen many times companies grow, this is a line that represents revenues, and all of a sudden they hit this spike. Things start to take off. They get that dream client or a bunch of things click for a little while, and then boom, they crash. And this is a very, very common pattern in businesses. The ability to finally figure some things out and to grow, but not be able to stick or hold or maintain that growth. And usually it has to do with the things that I'm talking about here. It has to do with really the owner requiring all spending decisions, all staffing decisions, all management decisions somehow running through them. That just creates this bottleneck that doesn't allow the company to really begin to build a larger foundation, carry more weight, carry more complexity without putting as much effort into it. I assume that's what you want. I was talking to a client once and he was just shocked. It's a small business. I think it's only doing about $3 million a year in revenue. And this guy busts his butt. Like there's no doubt. He works super hard. And I was telling him, realize I've got clients that are doing $100 million a year in revenue and they don't work as hard as you. Harder work is not the thing that got them. And his eyebrows just shot up. Like it blew his mind that this idea that they're not working, 100 times harder than he is to earn every dollar. They're just not. They're working. They've built a structure that just works for them. And he has not built that structure yet because he likes to keep jumping into the weeds. So it holds him back. Here's a little exercise or a picture that I draw for clients that helps them start to figure out how they can begin to move forward. So I usually draw a picture of a little guy or a little lady, and they're juggling balls. Now, I am a bad juggler, and right now they're an unhappy little person because they're juggling so many balls, and there's a chainsaw and it's on fire and it's crazy and things are there's a lot of stuff going on in there, and they're not happy about life because there's so much up in the air. And what they're finding is even though they're pretty proud of all these balls that they're juggling and more balls are getting thrown in, that there's also balls that are getting dropped and there's stuff that's getting missed over here, and they're not happy. They're feeling stressed out. I can't stay on top of it all. I can't do it all. And you're right, you can't. And so the answer is to build a team and to empower a team that can do that for you. So what I recommend is a simple exercise where you begin to accept the fact that you can't carry all of the balls, and you begin to look at which ones do you, as the leader of your company, which ones do you need to carry? I don't mean you as your person, like you're the only one smart enough or hardworking enough or conscientious enough to do it. I mean just that position. So if you're the president or the CEO or the owner of the company, you're the one who has to be involved in certain negotiations, deal with certain banking transactions. You're the one who can go get the big deals or the big customers or the big clients or make the big structural changes within your company or make those critical strategic hires. It's something that only you can probably go do, whereas other people in your company can do other things. And if you're doing other people's jobs, you're going to be maxed out. And your company will never grow, ever, past your own personal capacity, which everybody has a limit to what they can carry. And so if you want to get past that limit, there's a few steps that you want to do. The first step is to name and sort all of these balls. And so first of all, you want to figure out which are the ones that only this person can do. Let's just put a star next to the ones. This is certain banking transactions. This is getting certain big clients in. This is dealing with some reorganization, structural issues in the organization. This is making a decision about, changing who your accounting provider is or something like that. So you've got these major types of roles that only this person can do. So you need to make a list of, for me, or maybe not even say me, say that, as president of this company, these are the things that only I can do. But you have other people in your company. You should have somebody who handles a finance and or an administrative role, somebody who helps you oversee your operations, somebody who helps do your sales. You may not have all of these positions yet. Then your next move is to start getting those people or start elevating people up to leading those roles. And then you start figuring out over here, what's a financial or administrative type ball that needs to be handed off? And you hand those to that person. The first thing we do is not hand off, is just identify. Then what's an operational ball? We've got these ones over here, operational. And then we've got sales. Here's some sales balls that are over, we'll just say that's a ball. So we got some sales balls that are over here. And so you list those under each category. Maybe you've got R&D balls up in the air. You've got, whatever the needs are for your business. So the first thing is we want to get all of the jobs out of your head on a piece of paper and figure out what are the ones that only this person with your title can do, and then what needs to go off to other people or at least other functions. whether or not you have them yet. So that's the first step, is to identify all of the work and begin to hand it off. Name each of these balls. Yeah, then the second thing that you want to do is begin to figure out, how do I hand these balls off? And so you start figuring out, all right, what's the plan for giving this to finance and admin? Let's say you've got these people in place, because that's the point of the videos. Is my team really stepping up into their roles? And some of the reasons they're not is because they haven't been given their roles. And so what you want to do is make sure that this person really does have responsibility for the financials, that they're qualified for it, and that they can do it, and that they've begun to carry those things. You might not be able to hand all of this off at once, depending on the capacity of each of these individuals, but you start building your plan. So the first thing that I do is I like to ask somebody which bucket of responsibilities that if you handed it off, it starts to lighten the load the most for you. So maybe for this person, it's the financial and administrative stuff, like trying to figure out how much money they've got before they run payroll, trying to figure out if you can make a capital investment, but you're not sure how much cash there is or when the accounts receivables are coming. It's just maxing you out. You can't handle it. And you're trying to look down the road. You're trying to exercise foresight in your business, but it's so cloudy and murky and hard to figure out. You need someone to be doing these for you. Plus taxes are crazy every year and you have to keep pushing it off. If I could just not do that, man, things would be better. So let's just not do that. Find somebody, if you don't have them on your team, and particularly if you're under $20–30 million in revenue, sometimes more, I often recommend bringing in someone who's a fractional CFO who can help you structure this. If you have somebody on your team, that's great, but you want to begin building a plan for how do I hand this stuff off as quickly as possible. Here's the caveat with this. In almost every instance that I've recommended this to clients, two things happen. The first thing is I am too busy to do this. I can't. It's too busy. Second thing is once they actually do it, because I don't stop telling them to do it, and they actually follow through, then they come back, no kidding, sometimes in tears, saying, I cannot believe how much better life is now that I'm not trying to do a job I didn't understand to begin with. And I brought somebody in, whether they're a fractional person or I hired the right person, and they're getting this done, and it's like, wow, life is different, life is better. Once you've done this, you move over, or you start doing this, you move over to the next bucket that is your least strength. And so if you're better at sales than you are at managing operations, I would hold on to sales the longest. The sales balls you keep up in the air the longest. But over here, I would start to hand those ones off as well. And you can do this concurrently if you have the staff and the people and all of that. If you don't, just kind of do it step by step. Now in this, you want to figure out the third step. As you're building your plan, the third step is to figure out, okay, some balls are going to get dropped anyways, just because, and we're already doing it. So you want to choose which balls will get dropped. And what I mean in that is you're going to find that you've got some clients that are just not good clients, or contracts, or you're going to have some services that, man, you really love them, you think they're great, you think everybody wants them, but they don't make money and they cost you a lot of money. And so you just want to drop those balls. Then you're going to have other ones where there's going to be initiatives that you're pursuing that feel very important, that seem like they're going to bring a lot of value, but you just can't get to it, and they're not as important as some of these other things. So you choose to drop them. The point on choosing to drop balls or learning to say no is because you've got too much going on, and you have to begin to identify which of these will make the biggest difference for the company or most important, and which of these may be good ideas, but they're not critical. When you've got too much going on, you have to become very laser focused on recognizing what's critical, and then within that, what's critical for me versus for somebody else to carry. And that's basically all you need to do is identify all of the balls that are up in the air, name them, figure out which ones belong to who, and then figure out which ones will lighten the load the most for you so that you can begin handing that off. If you know you can't carry everything else, start determining, choosing which ones will be dropped and how those will be dropped. I think I'll stop there with it. This is such an important concept, though, in terms of you being able to shift your leadership approach. And it's a way to begin stepping out of the weeds and start to build a team that can carry a lot of the weight of the company for you. If this describes your company, the next question is whether you are still sitting in the middle of too many decisions. That's where a lot of strong leaders accidentally become the bottleneck in their own company. Now, I covered this issue in the video on the screen now. Are you the bottleneck in your own company?